about to watch me read Wildfire by Hannah Grace. This is the second book in the Maple Hills series, but it's not like a series, like you could read number 2 and then you could read number 1. It's just like on different characters. And so this focuses on Russ, who was introduced in Icebreaker, which is the first book. He's kind of like a side character, but this is Russ, and it focuses on his story, his love story with Aurora. From my understanding, this book is about Russ and Aurora, and they are at a summer camp. So they met once before, but like he didn't get her name or anything like that, but he was just like, I don't know what happened. I think they met at a party or something. And then he never saw her again. And then now they're at a summer camp, and there's a rule at the summer camp that the staff are not allowed to fraternize with each other. And so you can imagine there's gonna be a lot of sizzling tension within this book. So I'm really excited to follow along with Russ and Aurora's story and get to know the characters better, because like I know that there must be something, like there's something about Russ that was hinted about in the first book, and it seems he kind of has like some kind of complex relationship with his dad, and so I'm excited to have it more like explored in this book. So this is also the perfect book to read right now, because we're at that part of winter where I am, where the snow is starting to melt outside, but it's like minus 12 degrees, so it's like fake. It looks like it's warm, but it's not warm, it's cold, and then it rains, and then it snows again, and then it rains and gets rid of the snow. And so reading a book that kind of takes place in like the summertime, it's just what I need for this cold season. So let's crack the book right open and get into reading. So I'm a little bit more than 100 pages into Wildfire, and this one is like really cute. So far, not nearly as spicy as Icebreaker, but there definitely was like a little bit of spice, but I feel like this one, I mean, haven't really got too far in it, right? Like it's only like 100 and so pages, but I feel like the main one for this is going to be the tension, which I love the tension. So basically, Aurora and Russ, they actually ended up meeting at a college party and they hooked up. And then he went into the bathroom because we kind of know about Russ, like his self-esteem isn't the best. So he goes into the bathroom to basically like hype himself up to ask her on a date after they hooked up. And she thinks that because he went into the bathroom that that's kind of like his sign of being like, hey, like you can go now. And so she leaves, and then so she thinks that he doesn't want anything to do with her. And then he thinks that she doesn't want anything to do with him. And then they end up at the same camp together as staff. Oh boy, poor Russ. He decides to ignore Aurora because he thinks that like it would make her uncomfortable if he approached her, but then like because she wants him to approach her, and I'm like, oh, Russ, you poor man. But honestly, like I relate a lot to both of these characters. Russ with his insecurities and overthinking kind of things, like I'm like, yeah, I understand exactly where Russ is coming from. And then for Aurora, like wanting all of this like attention and like kind of like seeing kind of like the negatives in like interactions and really just kind of spinning it out of control. Like I think they're both really real characters with essences that I definitely like as a human being relate to. And I'm like, it's so good. Like all these characters that Hannah Grace has created feel so real. It's so nice. And so they're working as camp counselors together. They kind of talked out their miscommunication, and they even joked about, oh, it was miscommunication, like kind of thing. Because this book, like this one is really like wholesome. Like the vibes are so fun and cute and like fluffy, and like the campfire vibes, like just like the whole camp setting, it's just so nice, especially like in the winter time. Which for some reason, like in my head, I'm like, oh, I can't read this book because I have to read in the summertime, but like you can read a book whenever you want. But like the vibes are actually really great for like the winter time because you feel nice and warm and like cozy inside. So now that they both know that they want each other, this is where I imagine the tension is going to kind of start to build up for the rest of the book, because they're not allowed to get together as camp counselors and the kids are going to be arriving soon. So I'm excited to see where Russ and Aurora's story goes. So I'll update you when I'm about probably the halfway point. So I'll see you then. So I'm now about halfway through Wildfire, and this book is still really wholesome, but not really that spicy. Russ and Aurora continue to have these like really cute, really wholesome and like gentle moments together that it makes my heart all like warm and fuzzy. And like they have like these deep conversations about like their parents, because they both have like daddy issues, just like slightly different. Russ's dad is like an alcoholic gambler, and so that's pretty hard for him to deal with. And like when he finally moved out, like his dad sends him these really horrible texts like saying that Russ is bad and like he's a horrible son for not like giving him money so he can gamble it, like all that stuff. And so it really makes sense like with Russ's character, right? Because like we knew in Icebreaker that he had some disconnected relationship, and that was why he was the way he is. And so like that was pretty like interesting and like really tragic to kind of like hear about his backstory. And then for Aurora, she just doesn't feel loved. Like her dad doesn't pay her really any attention at all, but he like pays a ton of attention to his stepdaughter and like his new wife, but not to his actual daughter. And so like she was like, it's fine like if he didn't give me attention like before, but like really seeing that he has the capacity and all of that to give to somebody else, that makes her think that there's something wrong with her. And so like that's why she wants like that constant validation and like that love and like all this stuff. And so like she and Russ, they can really kind of like bond about their daddy issues. And I think that they're really cute. Like Aurora is the kind of person who honestly, she doesn't think before she talks. She just kind of like word vomits, and then Russ overthinks every single time. So they're interesting foils to one another. And I really like, I'm not like a relationship expert, but I don't know, it doesn't seem like a long, like that relationship would last in the long term, like once they kind of get over their problems. But like I'm still hopeful for them. I mean, it's a book, like they don't actually exist, sadly, but they're really cute. I am a bit disappointed though that there's still not really that much spice. I was really like looking for some spice, but it is very wholesome so far. I mean, there's still half to go, but Icebreaker at this point has already been way spicier, but that's okay. Like this is cute, and it's more PG so far. So I will continue to read Wildfire, and I will update you either like towards the end of the book or when I'm done the book. But yeah, I'm having a good time with this. It's very warm and fuzzy. Last night I finished Wildfire by Hannah Grace, and this one was really cutesy and adorable, but I'm definitely disappointed that it wasn't as spicy as the first one. Like Icebreaker was probably one of the spiciest things that I've ever read, but Wildfire was really tame, like practically YA tame. There was a lot of like fade to black, maybe 1 spicy out of 5 spices, because like there was some description, but not nearly to the level that Icebreaker did. So it just kind of felt really strange to me, because like when you have a first book like that, like people are going to expect that kind of sets the precedent of like what the spice level is going to be like, but then this one was not like that, and so definitely disappointed by that. But that's the only thing I'm disappointed about. I absolutely loved how real Russ and Aurora's relationship is, and like how it follows them, and like they're so different. And again, like I'm not a relationship coach or whatever, but the part that I mentioned about like Aurora doesn't really think before she acts and Russ overthinks, that kind of got them into a bit of an argument, but like they solved it because they're really good at communication. So I think that that's great, and like I'm really happy that it's like they have the issues, but then they kind of overcome them together, which is just like, it's so good. They're so cute together. And then also like the issues within their families, like with Russ, like kind of finally telling his dad like, hey, like you make me feel horrible about myself because of all these horrible things you say to me, and you're always telling me I'm a horrible son and all of this. And that really kind of helps his dad understand how his actions are affecting him. And then on Aurora's end, like with her dad, and like her dad is so bad. Like there's gonna be a bit of a spoiler here. I absolutely love that she went pretty much no contact with her dad, because like it doesn't matter if somebody's like blood related, if they treat you horribly and you feel sick and like this anytime you're near them, then they're not worth keeping around, even if they're like a parent or a sibling or anything like this. And so I think that it was really good that Aurora didn't like forgive him. She like tried to so many times, but she's like, yeah, like it's better if I just like don't do that because he's not a good person. And then on the flip side with Russ, like he didn't let his dad just say like, oh, I'm gonna stop gambling. Like he waited until there was actual like work done, and then like 9-ish years later, like he's great, like he helps them out all the time, and he's pretty much like a surrogate dad for Aurora. So like I really like the two different like sides, the dad who takes responsibility for his actions and changes, and the dad who just doesn't, and like how those are both very realistic scenarios. And of course the camp itself was so cute. I really loved it. It was so realistic too, especially with like the kid clogging one of the toilets after going to the bathroom. Like I swear that happens every single camp. Like I was a staff at a camp, and I remember very clearly that exact incident happening at the camp I was working at. So it really was just like, it was so nice. It was like very nostalgic. It was warm. It was fuzzy. All the characters were great. The relationships were good, and just like following them around as they like deal with their personal struggles while also like finding each other and being like a really good parent. It just warms my heart. This is definitely like a warm and fuzzy kind of book, whereas the first one was more like spicy. I was definitely like kicking my feet at how cute this book was. And so I think in total I would award this book 4 stars, and it's because it was enjoyable, all the characters are great. I did take away a star though, just because I was like really disappointed that it wasn't that spicy. Like again, like I said, setting the precedent in that first book I feel like is really important, because readers are going to expect that you're following books within at least that same series are going to be the same like spice level to a degree. And so that was my only disappointment, but overall I really liked this book. It was really cute. It was really perfect for that awkward transition of the year that I'm in, where it's like snowing one day like -20, and then the next day it all melts and it pretends to look like summer, but it's actually still really cold out. Like this just made me really excited for summer, made me feel nice and warm, and it was just like a really great read. So if you like a cozy kind of read, this is definitely the cozy kind of read. So thanks so much for watching. If you haven't already, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and turn on the bell notification. That way you get notified anytime a new video comes out. The next book that I'm going to be reading is The Ballad of Never After by Stephanie Garber. This is the second one in the, I think it's the Once Upon a Broken Heart series. I have the same bad habit that whoever created Game of Thrones TV series did, where they called it Game of Thrones instead of Song of Ice and Fire. I call the Fourth Wind series the Fourth Wind series instead of like the Empyreum. Yeah, so this is, in my head at least, it's the Once Upon a Broken Heart series. And so this is what I'll be reading next, and I'm really excited about it. So if you want to watch me read this or any other popular or really cool, awesome fantasy, romancy book that's in existence, definitely hit subscribe. And if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit the like button, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!